That's a mentee or a protege. I'll refer to that mostly tonight as protege. You have to find someone who's committed to expanding their capabilities, who is open and receptive to new ways of learning and trying new ideas, who is able to accept feedback and act upon it, willing to apply what they've learned back into life, to focus on achieving desired results, someone who's able to communicate and work well in tandem, someone who knows when to ask for help, someone who has a sense of personal responsibility and commitment and is willing to meet on a regular basis. Mentors provide their proteges with an experienced friend who is always ready to help in any number of different situations. Mentoring can be a lifelong relationship in which the mentor helps the protege realize his or her God-given potential. As a mentor, it's very fulfilling to work with a young person. Every mentor has a treasure chest of experience, and this is a great forum to share it. And as we know, good judgment comes from experience. And guess what? Experience comes from mistakes and bad judgment. So if I've run down some rabbit trails in life and there's nothing at the end where I've made some bonehead mistake, I'm happy to share this with others. Sometimes the most painful lessons we've learned may actually be the greatest things we have to offer. Well, you may ask, what is mentoring all about? What do you get? What do you give? Well, mentoring is really about helping someone succeed, about the importance of assuring youth that they're connected to a good role model, to individuals who care about others, who volunteer to establish a relationship with young people. It's a deliberate relationship with modest time requirements. Most mentoring is informal. You don't have to formalize it. Well, you might ask, why should you consider being a mentor? Well, it closes the loop on a person's life cycle. It connects the older and younger people in a symbolic relationship. It allows a person to teach naturally from their experience, which young people desperately need and want. And it gives the elder person a significant purpose in their second half of life. It can add a missing satisfaction to an older person's life. Now, the benefits are that you develop this close relationship with another person. It can be a form of personal renewal for you as an individual. It can produce a sense of self-fulfillment. It can enhance our self-esteem. But most importantly, you're able to make a meaningful difference or impact through your life. And the impact for the protege, of course, is you give them hope. You expose them to wisdom and your experience. You give a protege a bigger personal vision. You can provide an encourager, what I call a cheerleader in the stands for them. All young people have the opportunity to succeed in life and contribute to society. However, not all young people get the same support they need to thrive. By all estimates, an astounding 17.6 million young people, nearly half between the ages of 10 and 18, live in situations that put them at risk of not living up to their potential. I'll give you a few statistics about dealing with households with absent or without a father. 60% of youth that commit suicide are from fatherless homes. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. 85% of all children that exhibit behavioral disorders don't have a father in the picture. 71% of high school dropouts don't have a father in the home, and 85% of all youth sitting in a prison in a home without a father. So question, do you think mentoring would make a difference in the life of a young person in a single family home? Of course it would. And without immediate intervention by caring adults, they could make choices that not only undermine their futures, but ultimately the economic and social well-being of our nation. So it is a paramount issue. 100 years ago, mentoring, which you can call the developing of a person, really was a way of life among the generations. Mentors taught their children what work was about, how it was done, what character meant, what were their duties and obligations to their community. Mentoring was the chief learning method in society. It was where apprentices spent years at the side of a craftsman, learning not only the mechanics of a trade, but the way of life which surrounded it. In the world of spiritual development, the mentor pattern was universal. And today, children part company with their parents for the better part of each day and accumulate an average of only 8 to 11 minutes of parent-child conversation before the sun sets. So why is mentoring so important today? Well, we live in a very mobile society, both parents working or in a single household. Someone needs to teach a person about adulthood, and there's a critical need to have a quality role model. Because I only mentor males, mentoring can help answer the question, what is a man? When does a man become a boy? There's an acute need for healthy adult role models and relationships. We need relationships with a few people at a level we may never have experienced before. And mentoring can help the protege by improving the young person's attitude toward their parents, their peers, their employers, encouraging young people to stay motivated and focused on their education and their careers, providing a positive way for young people to spend free time, helping young people face daily challenges, and offering young people opportunities to consider new career paths and much needed economic and social skills. And I've got some good news for everybody. Everybody can be a mentor. Everybody has something to offer. The only criteria is, does this person care for me? You don't have to be beautiful or handsome or educated or rich or socially skilled to be very meaningful to a child who has no one, or a young person who looks up to you in some way. Anybody can be a mentor. We always need mentors. You're never too old to be one or to have one. Everyone needs an independent third-party source of advice and counsel. Know that fathers and mothers can only take you so far. It's a very different relationship, and it's really not intended for the same function. You can be a mentor by helping someone who has ability and a teachable attitude, but less experienced than you. So for example, a senior citizen could mentor a mature adult. Mature adult can mentor a young adult. A young adult can mentor a college student, high school, junior high. Anyone who really wants to can become a mentor. And again, the only prerequisite is, do you care? Does this person really care about me? If you have the ability to care, you can be a mentor. Now, mentors have many characteristics and attributes to offer. You've got your commitment of time and access. You've got a sincere desire to help them. We've got our friendship that we can offer, a willingness to take a chance on someone, our experience and our knowledge, our ear to listen and gain understanding, our challenging questions, our resources and network. A mentor admires and delights in the protege because we instinctively recognize their value and untapped potential. We really do believe in them. And you've got our unbiased counsel and wisdom, our ability to diagnose what their real need is. Again, you've got our encouragement, and the ideal ratio of encouragement to correction is a staggering 7-to-1 ratio. A mentor always supports rather than competes with a protege. We provide accountability. We can help the protege to focus. We can affirm them. We can protect them from blind spots and costly mistakes. Mentors can be a safe haven, someone you could call at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's something a mother and a father cannot necessarily do. A good mentor can be a lighthouse. A mentor's primary responsibility is to help the young person define their individual goals and find a way to help them achieve it. There are two questions a good mentor needs to ask their protege every time they meet. First is, what are your plans? What are your dreams? And the second question is, how can I help you achieve them? These two questions will stimulate terrific dialogue. And again, remember, it's not the mentor's agenda, it's all about the protege's agenda. And you might ask, well, what do you cover in these mentoring relationships? Well, as I mentioned, the primary goal is the protege's goal and objectives. What you talk about career issues, how can I advance in my job? You talk about personal development, growth. You encourage them to maybe go to seminars and read trade magazines. We talk about family and marriage. We talk about spiritual issues, talk about health and wellness, about ethics, about community involvement, social engagement, and maybe financial aspects. And my priceless advice is, don't ever give someone your advice. When you give them your advice, you're telling them what to do, and you don't want to mandate. So my priceless advice is, give people your counsel. That way, they are the ones collecting the information so they can make their own well-informed decisions. Time is our most valuable asset. To share with a young person is a very worthy endeavor. Time is everything to a relationship. Hurry is the death of a relationship. Invest some of your time into someone who will live on beyond you. Please, please do not neglect your family in order to be a mentor. Prioritize your time. I did a time allocation several years ago. I took 365 days, 24 hours a day. I subtracted 40 hours for the work week, 8 hours of sleep, and you had 3,840 hours of net available free time. Well, if you mentored 2 hours a week for 50 weeks, that's 100 hours. That's 2.6% of your allocation. And if you could only do it for an hour, it's 1.3 of your time, mentoring time allocation. Without question, a 1 or 2% investment of your net free time could easily make 100% difference in the life of a young person. And you never know who you're talking with when you're conversing with a young person. He or she may be the surgeon who saves your life one day. Make the sharing of your gifts a life priority. As we give away a little piece of our heart, we realize it's the only thing that we can give away and still have more left afterwards. It is indeed impossible to outgive yourself. Always be looking for someone whose life you can make better. A single word focus for mentoring is really relationship. Ideally, it's a lifelong relationship, helping someone reach their dreams and their plans. Mentoring is not about age, it's about experience. Mentoring is a relational glue that bonds our generation to the previous and the next generation. Mentoring is that bridge that will connect, strengthen, and stabilize future generations in an increasingly complex and threatening world. Billy Hybels, a well-known pastor of Willow Creek Church outside of Chicago, indicated he had 14 mentors over his life, all at different stages. He had different mentors growing up, in high school, and college, during his marriage, in business, and his church career. Every time you build into the life of another person, you launch a process that will ideally never end. So why is it important for a protege to be thinking about a mentor? Well, statistics indicate at any given time, you're becoming the average of the 5 people with whom you closely or most closely associated with. So don't ever underestimate the importance of who you choose to be with. If you associate with principled and successful people, you can't help but improve yourself. But if you lie down with dogs, you will wake up with fleas. 5 years from now, you'll be the same as you are today, except for 2 things: the people you meet and the books you read. So be deliberate in deciding who you choose to associate with. One of the greatest gifts of life is the people who come our way and what we learn from them. And one of the terrific advantages of having a mentor is this person can serve as a truth teller, and everyone needs a truth teller. I'm talking about someone who will tell it like it is and not necessarily just what you want to hear. It's essential to have at least one person in your life you can talk to and who will confront you with the truth no matter what the consequences. Someone who is willing to risk the entire relationship with their honest answer or assessment of your situation. A mentor is a truth teller. And mentoring is about influence. When you influence a child, you influence a life. When you influence a parent, you influence a family. When you influence a CEO, you influence a corporation. When you influence a pastor, you influence a church. And when you influence a leader, you influence all of those who follow him. Don't let your epitaph read, "Here lies John, died age 59, buried age 79. I know a lot of people who've died, they just haven't been buried yet. My favorite question to ask people is, what are you doing today that will be an influence or impact in the next generation? So what are you doing today? Not what you did yesterday or what you're going to do tomorrow, but what are you doing today that will be an influence or impact in the next generation? It's a compelling question and one that each of us will have to account for. How can we not afford to invest in the future and produce good young people? Mentoring should be a significant part of your legacy. Be proud of your beliefs, your philosophies, and the gifts you leave behind. I sort of describe it as saying you need to prepare your replacement. When you go, and you will go, who do you want to take your place? Mentoring can be likened to gold mining. Some days, nothing much seems to happen in the relationship. Some days you find a little nugget here and there, but some days you hit the mother lode. I read the results of a survey taken quite some years ago. They interviewed a group of people that were 95 years and older. You know, you get some pretty straight answers from somebody who's 95 years or older. They're beyond the stage of trying to impress people anymore. There's no beating around the bush. They will tell you exactly what is on their heart and what is on their mind. In the survey, they were asked to respond to the question, if you could live your life over again, what would you do differently? Isn't that a great question? 95-year-old audience, if you could live your life over again, what would you do differently? Well, the answers were many, but they fell in 3 general categories. The first category, they said they would reflect more. They suggested that each of us take more time to think about those things that are important: our faith, our family, our churches, our friendships, our community, and to really savor the moment, to stop and smell the roses. Secondly, they said they would risk more. And the risks they referred to were not necessarily financial, but primarily risking relationships with people. They said if they could do it over again, they would be bolder, knowing that true friendships can only develop when the parties are open and vulnerable to one another. That the risk of rejection probably keeps most of us from enjoying these worthwhile relationships. And third, they said they would put more time and effort into someone or something that would outlive them. They're telling us to devote some time to matters of eternal consequence, to have a purpose, to leave a legacy. And here's where mentoring comes into play. I've had the privilege of mentoring several young men over the last 25 years, and it's been a phenomenal experience. I have seen with my own eyes the dual impact on them and me that can take place when this relationship happens. It can be most gratifying. One young man I mentored, he started his own Christian ministry. One owns several sandwich shops around the town. A couple are doing great work in nonprofit areas in Memphis. I've counseled a lot of men regarding a career path and their marriages. Peter Drucker, the famous management guru who looked at the world from 30,000 feet, said, because of our longer life expectancy today, we have an incredible opportunity when we reach middle age. We're the wealthiest, healthiest, best educated generation to ever reach middle age. 100 years ago, this opportunity simply didn't exist. And the opportunity is we have options about how we will spend the balance of our lives. And we need to be prepared for these options. Make mentoring one of your options. Please take the time and receive the blessing. Again, there's no greater legacy for a person to leave than their wisdom. Solomon, who knew a thing or two about wealth and wisdom, wrote that wisdom is unsurpassed as a gift that keeps on giving. Mentoring should be a significant part of our legacy. We all leave legacies. Be intentional about yours. Take a deserving person as a special project and make a difference in their life. Only in heaven will we ever begin to grasp the results. To deprive a young person of your wisdom is like dying without a will. So I challenge each of you today to build into the life of another person. Give some of yourself away. And by doing so, you will pass on a permanent and even eternal legacy. There are two lines that run through every person's life. It's a lifeline and a purpose line. And wise is the person who can combine both. James Dobson said, attach a boy to a good man and he seldom goes wrong. And you know, a person is never so tall as when they stoop to help a child or the fellow man. Well, folks, we cannot hold on to this world. We can only hand it off to others. I challenge you today to invest some of your time, your talents, your treasure, but most importantly, your touch into the lives of a young person. Only in heaven will we even begin to grasp the results. Thank you. One thing I want to do too is I want to give out my email address and invite anyone to contact me if they would like to discuss this subject further or talk about organizations they get involved with. I'm very involved with an organization called Nexus, and it is a mentoring organization. The Grizzlies have one. But the bottom line is I want to really encourage everybody to mentor. So my email is real easy. It's kwilsonjr@kwilson.com. kwilsonjr@kwilson.com. So again, I've had, it's been one of the greatest joys of my life to invest into the lives of young people. And I hope, I know many of y'all are already doing it. I hope if you're not, that you will consider doing that. So Charlotte, Denise, thank you. I've enjoyed my time. And if there's any, you know, I don't know your time schedule, so I'm not running off. I know y'all might have to close shop. Yeah, you're on mute.
Okay, Kim, thank you so much.
Okay.
I'd like to tell everyone, we met at Kim's house
Yeah.
one evening over a service project. And I left feeling like I thought I was coming to serve, but when I left, I felt like I had been served by Kim. And we just had that relationship and the feeling of helping. And then of Kim just in that short time mentoring me about the importance of service just continued. And I'd also like to mention, thank you so much, Kim. Thank you. This was indeed inspirational. We need, well, I'm sure it is taped because Will has probably taped it, but this is something we can use all the time. Are there any questions?
I had one. Kim, did you choose your proteges or did they choose you or both? How do you go about finding the people that you mentor?
Well, in the program called Nexus, you're matched with they have a seasoned, experienced guy like myself, or and they match you with young emerging leaders. And in that particular organization, you don't really choose your protege. They match you up, but they look at your background. The protege will tell the organization, "Hey, I would. This is my field of interest. I would like to have a mentor that has these characteristics," and they just match you up. Others, really, Denise, have been mostly young men just calling up and said, "Hey, can we have coffee? Can we have breakfast?" And it will lead into a mentoring relationship. And again, I want to tell you that I normally come out with a blessing. It is so fulfilling and joyful to help a young person kind of achieve their track in life. And a lot of this is not necessarily business. It's a lot about jobs and career path, but it's a lot just about marriage or navigating life. And so it doesn't have to be like I said, it's very informal. It doesn't have to be formal. And what we normally do is the first session you have, it's like a show and tell. You just let the mentor, let the protege, I say, tell me from the day you were born, tell me about your life. Brothers, sisters, where'd you go to high school, junior high, elementary? What did you enjoy doing? Did you have any dreams back in those days about what you want to be? But again, the whole, those two questions, what are your plans and what are your dreams for your life? And then how can I help you? They will tell you their plans and their dreams for their life. And one interesting thing, I mentored a young man from Federal Express, and I asked him that question. He said, "Well, I want to write a book." And I went, "Oh my gosh, I've got no experience in that." And but you know what I did? I put him together with a guy that had written about 15 books, and he met separately with that guy, and we had a year-long mentoring program, and before it was up, that young man wrote a book and published it. So I mean, that's how mind-boggling it can be. And of course, like I said, we're a cheerleader in the stands for them. Nobody else may be, but a good mentor is an encourager. It's a Barnabas. It can really help a young person.
If I can be so bold about young women who need mentors. I know she said you only counsel young men. Is there any suggestions? And does Nexus do the same kind of thing?
Yeah, Nexus has women mentors and women proteges. So I just do it just because I feel like that's the way it ought to be done. But I know Nexus for sure. The class every year is about 70 people. It's an application process. And if you send me an email, I'll get you hooked up with the executive director, and you just fill out an application. And we're recruiting both mentors every year and proteges every year. And there's the board basically will match up personalities and desires.
Interesting.
Kim, what's the age range of the folks you mentor?
Well, they're mostly younger men. I'm going to say, I've done it from 15 to, maybe 40, or 15 to 50. And it's always been, probably maybe a 20-year gap, and they realize that, I've been through, this stage of their life. And so they're asking me, how did you balance your time? And so just great questions like that. And, I didn't do a great job a lot of times. And that's the beauty of being able to tell people, hey, I fell down in this area. I wish I had spent more time with my family. I wish I had spent more time doing this or that. And for those that are really listening and really want to kind of do it right, I've seen some change their lifestyle a little bit. But again, I tell them, don't neglect your family. But I really feel like, everyone needs a mentor, and everyone needs to be a mentor.
Other questions?
So, Kim, one of our members, Jim, is about to embark on a new mission for us, or a new initiative, and it's the Tennessee Achieve. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Jim, you want to tell a little bit about that?
It's muted.
Doesn't do much good if I'm muted. Yes, Tennessee Achieves is a mentoring program for kids that are going to, I'm going to simplify it, to community colleges. And we had been meeting with them in person, and you pick a high school, you get five kids to mentor, because most of these kids, almost all of them, are from families that have not, their parents haven't gone to college.
Yeah.
And so it's to help them with the college experience. I'll be candid, it's a very challenging mentoring program. Many of the kids are simply not responsive. Because you've got a lot, but when you find one and develop that relationship, which I did with a young man that ended up graduating from Tennessee College of Applied Technology, again, first in his family to have gone through college. He's doing very, very, very well as an industrial mechanic, and I felt it was the best feeling that I helped him get where he wanted to be. But that's Tennessee Achieves. I love to get mentors. Everything's going to be virtual now. It's going to, because of the COVID. You won't be meeting with the kids in person. I chose East High School because it's close to my house, and to mentor kids there. And if Charlotte and I have been going about getting someone from Tennessee Achieves to make a presentation at some point. I don't know who's handling the programming, but if you give me an email, I'll get you in touch with the right people with Tennessee Achieves.
Mhm.
It's just very challenging. It's not, as Kim has indicated, it's not easy to do, particularly when you're dealing with five children. They're young men in my case, right at the cusp of going from high school into community college and all the pressures that low-income kids face. They don't really go to community college full-time because they got to work and they've got other things going in their lives. So, but that is an option. Tennessee Achieves.
That's great work.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Mike?
Muted.
I just want to say, Kem, I left Holiday Inns with your dad for a different reason, but at the same time, I've always admired that man for his choice in life and when he left. And I want to thank you for all you've done for this community and also for faith-based communities here in Memphis.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that.
Ellen?
Pam?
I know I'm a Johnny come lately, but I want to second the thoughts. Ken, thank you so much for everything you continue to do, and including taking time to speak to us. And I wanted to ask you on a different note, if y'all may have covered this, but the New York Times last Sunday had a powerful article on evictions. And we are facing an inordinate number of evictions in Memphis and in the country. Would you just share a few words of what you might understand about the problem and what, from the perspective of another leader in community, we can do about this? The Times article was about tenants banding together and taking control of their situation and actually buying the buildings. But
ma'am, I really don't know. We're not in that field. We sell a room every night and it turns over. So we're not in the apartment building. That is a really, I've thought about that. I haven't read much about it, and it's kind of gripping because people are out of work, they can't pay the rent. And on the other hand, there's been some owner that has borrowed money and that's his livelihood. And I don't know, that there's a good answer unless, maybe there could be some sort of subsidy for, apartment owners or certain apartment owners that have certain criteria, sort of like the airlines, that
Yeah.
where they get some, some assistance. But I would just think something would have to happen because it's one thing, we don't have to ride on the airlines, but you need a place to spend the night, lay your head. So, when the dust settles here, but I think it's a vicious circle in a sense because banks lend money to owners rent, apartments. And, if the chain stops, the banks or call the owner, the owner's got to do something or he'll go bankrupt. So, we're having a brutal time in the hotel business because nobody is traveling and also nobody's having business meetings. And so, leisure travel, which is not much, they may come visit you on a weekend, but it's in certain locations, it is very difficult. And we think it's going to be a slow crawl back to where we were. And the crazy thing about all of this is nobody has any idea when it's going to end. I tell people it's like, if you break your arm, well, you get your arm set and the doctor says, all right, in 6 weeks, you'll take the cast off, and another 4 weeks, you do some rehab and you're back. And with this virus, we don't know when it's going to be back, if it ever comes back. And, so our hotel business meetings, they may all be on Zoom, and we may be sitting around with empty meeting rooms. So it's really scary on a lot of fronts to business owners. And we had I read a publication yesterday that said that 25% of the restaurants will just go out of business in total.
Right.
And and the thing that burns me as much as anything is just how some of these wonderful nonprofits are going to suffer, because of donations and all. And so I don't know. I sure wish that we could get on the other side of this thing, get a vaccine, and and just get everybody talking and going around. I mean, I haven't seen anybody smile. It's hard to see a smile with a mask on. And I feel like we're just walking around like zombies.
Yeah, right.
And so
It's a sad state.
yeah, I'm ready to, we're being very careful. All the hotels, the cleanliness, the social distancing, all of that. But there's some industries that are hit pretty hard that nobody has any real answer about how they're going to come back or when they're going to come back. So.
Darn. Yeah.
Kim,
I want to recommend the book Evicted by Matthew Desmond. It won a Pulitzer. And it really lays out much of the problem that's happening from his perspective. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Kim.
You bet.
Kim,
Yeah.
Barbara has a very interesting story about her daughter and how she's had to depend on mentors throughout the world. Will you share that with us, Barbara? Unmute.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlotte. Yes, my daughter is actually a professional triathlete, and that's how she makes her money. So, as you can guess, as of the end of February, beginning of March, every single race has been canceled, which means, of course, there's no income at all. She had a part-time job at UT also, and was teaching swimming at the pool while the pool also. So, it's just been really difficult for them. It was interesting because we actually went to a race this weekend in Florida, Claremont, Florida, and I was very surprised. Of course, it's very close to Orlando, so I was somewhat surprised that the airplane was filled. American Airlines was very good about saying, you will not be allowed on the plane if you don't have a mask on. But anyway, she, of course, has had mentors all her life as far as athletic mentors. And the women have been very nice about helping her to know. She has a coach, of course, but the other athletes have been very good about telling her the best places to train, how to train, who to train with, which are the best races, and those kinds of things. But yes, she's been very fortunate to have mentors all along the way. So, and I understand how much she appreciates that. I can speak personally that she's very, very appreciative of anybody that's willing to help along the way.
Mhm.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you. Ellen, you want to tell us about your mentoring?
You mean Ellen?
No, you, Ellen,
Me?
all the mentoring you do at your school.
Oh, well, I'm a teacher, so that's kind of my job, but I know like one student in particular. But I love it, especially during COVID. It has been wonderful personally for me to be there and see all those young faces. I'm a middle school teacher and at St. Mary's, so and I teach all girls, and so it's wonderful. They're bubbly, they're excited, and there's always some child, or I'm not really dealing with the younger ones, but some girl that you feel like because of your life experience, or something you've gone through in life, you can be there for her to listen. Sometimes it's just a matter of listening, or something goes on in their life, or maybe someone who is more quiet natured. I tend to be more quiet natured myself, so if I see that student who is a little hesitant to speak, or just needs that extra encouragement, that's something that's just really delightful for me, and probably helps me even more than it does the student, because it gives me really something to look forward to every day. And there's always something new with teaching, because you have all those different personalities, so it's really a blessing to be a teacher.
Yeah.
So Kim,
Hey,
you
we-
see that we're going to rename you our mentoring mascot.
Okay.
And whenever any of us need someone to mentor or program, or even to speak, like Jim was saying, just to come and speak to the group, then we know that you're the person that we can call on.
You sure can. It's really kind of, again, it's been a great joy in my life just to, I've got 5 kids, so, I'm hopefully a mentor to them as well. But, so many, so many young kids out there, I mean, you would be surprised that, and I would say too, through churches, through a lot of organizations, there are mentoring opportunities. I know some churches have adopted a school, and some of their people may go mentor, but I really feel like it's got to be. I normally meet twice a month with my protege, and I may give him a book to read. We may discuss certain topics, but again, I mean, if you ask them those 2 questions, you will be surprised at how they can light up, because everybody's got some plan or some dream, and you just try to help them get there, as best you can.
Thank you, Kim. Any other questions, comments? Well, Kim, in this dismal time, we want you to know that you have put a smile on our faces tonight, and you have inspired us to go on, and we have a lot to think about. So whenever we can take off the mask and run about, you've given us a journey, and thank you so much. When I called Kim to invite him, he was just overjoyed, and usually that's not the case.
Oh, that's
But
great.
the great thing is, and this is the first, he called me back earlier this week to make sure we were still on. I thought, wow, this is going to be exciting. Thank you so much, Kim. We'll be inviting you when we're back in person. We meet at Southern College of Optometry. We'll be inviting you back then.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Kim.
so much.
And again, anybody email me if you want more information.
And I'll
All
send out the email
Okay.
address. Thank
That was
you.
very
All right,
inspiring.
thanks.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
That was cool.
That was cool.
Good to
Well-
see everybody's faces. Will is back in Florida. So
Bye.
Great, okay. So you'll give him all his information that he needs, right?
absolutely. I took notes.
Yeah. Is this one taped also? Will, Denise?
Yes,
Says
he's
it's
recording it.
Okay, you recording. Okay, great.
I
Okay.
should, with the
Well-
caveat that I got kicked out twice, so I'm not sure how that's gonna manifest in the recording, but I'll do what I can.
Yeah, there was a lot. I don't think we've missed too much. Thank you, everyone. I guess now we can take on the world, go out and serve and mentor. And thank you again so much, Jim, for helping us to prepare for a new initiative.
Yeah.
One of the things with Rotary, one of the service points this time is direct service. So this falls right in line with direct service. And thank you, everyone. And also, I want to thank everyone for being so supportive during this time, because and Will can tell you when he said, "Oh, it's your turn to be president." I was like, "What? How did that happen?" And on top of that, then the virus, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, what is this? What have I done to deserve this?" But I really appreciate everyone. Thank you for all your support. And we're just moving right along. Without, with or without the virus, we're still moving. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, Charlotte, if you can just put me in touch with the person to schedule the Tennessee Achieves presentation, I can put them in touch with the right people and they can go from there.
Great. Thank you,
Okay.
Jim.
All right, no problem.
Will,
Okay.
you have a halo.
Yeah, you look very saintly.
Yeah.
That's what it's some art.
Is
we
that
bought
by
on our
design?
honeymoon.
Is that on purpose? You're like, I know.
No,
I know.
I'm at my wife's desk and she is in seminary, so this is a little bit by design.
Hey there, Will.
It becomes you. You need wings now.
Thanks.
Good to see everybody again.
And
Good
so
night.
great seeing you,
Take care.
Susan. We missed you.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of, I tore my hip
Right.
muscles, and my life is still a bit busy with doing physical therapy, but I'm much better.
Thank you. We're glad.
Good.
But
Glad.
it was pretty debilitating. I was in a wheelchair because I couldn't use crutches. I don't have the upper body weight to do it. And I had a friend that walked my dog twice a day, and I had another friend that kept me fed. And I could drive. That was about the only thing. But where do you
Good
want
to
to
have friends.
go when you can't
Yeah.
get in a wheelchair? So anyway, thanks for being here. See
You
you.
two ladies are my neighbors,
you.
and I
Thank
never
you.
see you.
Do what? Nancy?
Denise and Pan are like in the next block over, and I don't
I
see them.
know.
It's,
I should live in your
exactly. We don't see each other. Yeah.
Just
not
gonna
all
have to
the
come
time.
and knock on your door, and
Yeah.
then jump
Bye-bye.
6 feet back and say, "Hey."
Yeah. Get that mask.
And Barbara, thank you again. And let Laura know that,
Yes.
yeah, maybe next time you can bring her with you to the meeting.
Yes, hope I can. Right now, of course, she's on her bicycle. But thank you so much for always inviting me, Charlotte. I try to get here from work, and today I was just lucky to be here because that was really an inspiring talk.
Very much.
Right.
All right,
I
guys.
think, yes, a good one. for
Good
all of
night.
us.
See you next
Good
time.
night.
Hi, Nancy.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Will.
Sure thing. Y'all have a great
Thank you
night.
so much, Will.
Will, thanks.
Absolutely. See y'all later.
We're a great team.
I think we're doing this all right. Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, we are.